You are looking at a house where 8 people went to sleep and never woke up. It happened in Villisca, Iowa. The date was June 9th, 1912. The killer did not bring a weapon. He found one waiting for him in the backyard, an axe. He used it to end 8 lives. Then he did something even stranger. He covered every mirror in the house with bed sheets. He took a 2-pound slab of bacon from the icebox, wrapped it in a towel, and left it on the floor next to the blood-stained axe. He washed his hands in a bowl of water, locked the doors, and walked away. More than 100 years later, we still do not know his name. Let us go back to that Sunday. Josiah Moore was 43. He was a successful businessman with a beautiful family. His wife Sarah was 39. They had 4 children: Herman 11, Mary 9, Arthur 7, and Paul 5. That evening, 2 young girls from next door, Lena and Ina Stillinger, came over for a sleepover. They spent the evening at the local church, returning home around 9:30 p.m. They walked home together in the dark. It was raining. They made it inside, took off their wet shoes, and went to bed. They thought they were safe, but someone was already waiting. Investigators believe the killer slipped into the house while the family was at church. He went upstairs and hid in the attic. He sat in the dark for hours, listening to the rain, waiting for the house to go quiet. Around midnight, he came down. He held Josiah Moore's own axe, which he had found near the coal shed. He went into the master bedroom first. Josiah and Sarah were asleep. The killer struck Josiah first, using the sharp end of the axe. He hit him dozens of times. Sarah was next. Neither of them had time to scream. Then the killer walked down the hallway to the children's room. Herman, Mary, Arthur, and Paul were asleep in 2 beds. He killed them one by one. Finally, he went downstairs to the guest bedroom, where 12-year-old Lena and 8-year-old Ina Stillinger were sleeping. Only one person in the house showed signs of putting up a fight. Lena Stillinger had a defensive wound on her arm. She was found lying crosswise on the bed. The killer had finished his work, but he did not leave immediately. The killer took clothes from the dressers and covered all the mirrors. He covered the glass panes in the doors. He went to the kitchen. He did not steal the money in Josiah's pockets. He did not take any jewelry. Instead, he took that slab of bacon, wrapped it, and placed it on the floor. He filled a bowl with water and washed his hands. The water was found completely red the next morning. He also left a plate of uneaten food on the kitchen table. Before he left, he locked all the doors. He took the keys with him. The next morning, a neighbor named Mary Peckham noticed the house was quiet. Usually, the kids were playing outside. She knocked on the door. No answer. She tried the knob. Locked, she called Josiah's brother, Ross. Ross arrived with his own key. He walked inside, opened the guest bedroom door, and saw the sheets covered in blood. He ran out screaming. The entire town panicked. Everyone bought locks for their doors. People slept with shotguns next to their beds. Suspicion fell on everyone. There were 2 main suspects. First was Frank Jones, a powerful state senator. Josiah had worked for him, then quit to start his own rival business, taking a major client with him. Some believed Jones hired a hitman named William Mansfield to do the deed. The second suspect was Reverend Kelly, a traveling preacher who attended the church service that night and left on an early train. Kelly had a history of mental illness and an obsession with axes. He He even confessed to the murders twice, but both trials ended in hung juries. No one was ever convicted. The house still stands in Villisca. It is a tourist attraction now. People pay to spend the night in the bedrooms where the family died. If you stood in that dark attic tonight, what do you think you would hear? On June 9th, 1912, 8 people walked into a small white house in Iowa. None of them made it out alive. The town was Villisca. It was a quiet place. Only 2,000 people lived there. Everyone knew everyone. Nobody locked their doors. Josiah Moore was 33 years old. He was a successful businessman. He ran a farm implement store. People liked him. His wife was Sarah. She was 39. They had 4 children. Herman was 11. Mary was 10. Arthur was 7. Paul was only 5. It was a hot, humid Sunday. The air was thick. The family spent their evening at the Presbyterian Church. It was the annual Children's Day program. Sarah helped coordinate the event. The kids performed recitations. They sang psalms. The church was packed with neighbors. 2 other children were there too. Ina Stillinger was 12. Her sister Lena was 8. They were friends of the Moore children. After the service, they asked their parents if they could stay the night at the Moore house. The parents said yes. It seemed harmless. The church program ended around 9:30 in the evening. The crowd slowly dispersed. The Moore family and the 2 Stillinger sisters started their walk home. It was a short walk, only 3 blocks. The night was pitch black. A storm was rolling in. The streetlights were dim. They walked together, laughing and talking about the performances. They arrived at the house at 58 East 2nd Street. It was a modest wood frame home. Inside, the air was warm and stuffy. Josiah lit a kerosene lantern. Sarah went to the kitchen. She prepared a small snack of milk and cookies for the kids. The children ate at the table. Ina and Lena were assigned to the guest bedroom. It was on the first floor, right off the parlor. The 4 more children went upstairs to their bedrooms. Josiah and Sarah went to their own room on the 2nd floor. By 11 p.m., the house went dark. Josiah blew out the final lantern, but they were not alone. Upstairs, in the dark attic, someone was waiting. He had been there for hours. He arrived while the family was still at church. He found an unlocked door. He walked inside. He carried a heavy, double-bitted axe. He took off his shoes. He walked up the stairs to the crawl space. He sat on a pile of old clothes. He waited in the dark. He heard the family come home. He heard the children laughing in the kitchen. He heard the floorboards creak as they went to bed. He waited for the house to go completely quiet. He waited for them to fall into a deep sleep. It took about 2 hours. At midnight, the storm finally hit. Heavy rain started to fall. Thunder rolled across the Iowa plains. The sound of the rain masked any noise inside the house. The killer stood up. He left his shoes in the attic. He picked up the axe. He walked down the stairs in his stocking feet. He passed the room where Ina and Lena were sleeping. He went upstairs first. He entered the bedroom of Josiah and Sarah. The axe was heavy. It weighed over 2 pounds. He raised it high. The first blow struck Josiah. He never woke up. Sarah was next. Then the killer walked down the hall to the children's room. Herman, Mary, Arthur, and Paul, all 4 were killed in their beds. Finally, he went downstairs to the guest room. Ina and Lena were asleep. There was a struggle in this room. One of the girls had defensive wounds on her arms. She tried to fight back, but she was too small. The entire attack took less than 20 minutes. But the killer did not leave immediately. He took his time. He covered the faces of the victims with bed sheets. He covered the mirrors in the house with cloths. He went to the kitchen. He washed his hands in a bowl of bloody water. He took a plate of food from the icebox. He sat at the kitchen table in the dark. He ate a meal next to the dead. Then, he locked the doors from the inside. He took the keys. He walked out into the rainy night. The bodies were not found until the next morning. The crime was never solved. Over a century later, the house still stands. No one knows who entered the house that night, and no one knows why. A house in Iowa has a lock on the outside of the attic door, not the inside, the outside. In June of 1912, someone stood behind that door for hours. They listened to a family eat dinner. They listened to 4 children play. They waited for the house to go completely dark. This is Villisca, Iowa. It is a quiet farming town. In 1912, nobody locked their doors. Crime did not happen here. But on this night, 8 people went to sleep. None of them woke up. The family was the Moores. Josiah was 39. His wife, Sarah, was 35. They had 4 kids. Herman was 11. Catherine was 10. Boyd was 7. Paul was only 5. That evening, 2 neighborhood girls asked to stay the night. Lena Stillinger was 12. Her sister Ina was 8. The parents said yes. It was a simple decision. It was also a fatal one. Sometime after midnight, the house went silent. The killer moved. He did not bring a weapon with him. He had found an axe in the backyard earlier that evening. It was a heavy 2-pound coal axe. He carried it up the stairs. The killer went to the parents' bedroom first. Josiah and Sarah were asleep. They never woke up. The killer used the blunt end of the axe. He did not want to make noise. The blows were quick. They were incredibly precise. Next, he walked into the children's room. Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul. He killed all 4 in their beds. He did not hesitate. He did not spare the youngest. Then he walked downstairs to the guest room. This is where Lena and Ina were sleeping. Investigators believe Lena was the only victim who woke up. She had a defensive wound on her arm. She had tried to fight. It did not save her. But the physical acts were only the beginning of the mystery. What the killer did next defies explanation. He did not run into the night. He stayed in the house for hours. He took a bowl of water and washed his hands. The water was left on the kitchen table, dark red. He went to the icebox. He took out a 2-pound slab of uncooked bacon. He wrapped it in a towel and placed it on the floor next to the axe. Then, he went through every room in the house. He took sheets and clothing. He covered every mirror. He covered every window. He did not want the dead eyes looking at him. Or maybe he did not want to see his own face. At 7:30 the next morning, the neighbor, Mary Peckham, looked outside. The Moore house was completely quiet. Usually, the kids were outside doing chores. The curtains were all drawn tight. This was highly unusual. She knocked on the door. No one answered. She tried to open it, but it was locked from the inside. She called Josiah's brother, Ross. He arrived quickly. Ross had a spare key. He opened the front door and stepped into the quiet house. He walked to the downstairs guest room. He saw 2 shapes under a dark sheet. He pulled the sheet back. Ross ran out of the house screaming. The news hit the town like a bomb. Hundreds of people crowded into the yard. They trampled the grass. They destroyed vital evidence before the police could even start. The killer had vanished. He left the bloody axe in the guest room. He left no fingerprints. Bloodhounds were brought in, but they lost the trail at the edge of town. Who did this? The police had three main suspects. First was Frank Jones. He was a powerful local politician. He hated Josiah Moore over a business dispute. People thought he hired a killer. Second was William Mansfield. He was a suspected serial killer. He was linked to similar axe murders in Illinois and Kansas. Third was Reverend George Kelly. He was a traveling preacher. He had been at the church service the night before. He left town on a train at 5 in the morning. He later confessed to the murders, but he was acquitted. To this day, the case remains unsolved. The house still stands in Iowa. You can rent it for the night. Visitors report cold spots. They hear children crying, but the real terror is the truth. A man walked into a home, killed 8 people, washed his hands, and walked away. And nobody ever found out who he was. As investigators searched the house, they stumbled upon a scene that felt eerily orchestrated. Every mirror in the home stood shrouded, covered with heavy cloth. Windows were tightly barricaded, as if keeping an unseen force at bay. The curtains hung low, drawn shut, casting shadows over what had once been a vibrant family dwelling. Even the dining room told a story of dread. A partially eaten meal lay abandoned on the table, food still warm from neglect. Imagine this. Footprints in the dust lead to multiple rooms, each telling tales of chaos and fear. This was no ordinary crime scene. It felt like a stage set for something far more sinister. The investigators moved methodically through each room, documenting every detail that whispered of the previous occupants' lives and their untimely end. But here's where it spirals into unnerving territory. Evidence suggested that whoever committed this horrifying act may have lingered long after the family had fallen silent. Some detectives theorized the intruder spent hours, perhaps days, inside these very walls, watching for moments of vulnerability before making their move. The sheer audacity chilled them to their bones. Others speculated about premeditated malice. What if this attack had been meticulously planned? Tension crackled in the air as officers drew comparisons to notorious criminals who stalked their victims before striking. Each whisper about meticulous strategies filled the room with questions and doubts. No clear motive ever emerged. Now, here's where it gets interesting. During their examination, investigators noted subtle hints throughout. The way certain objects were arranged, almost too perfectly, suggested intention but offered no clarity. Family portraits remained untouched. But why? Surely, an intruder would feel compelled to ransack valuables or destroy cherished mementos. Yet these artifacts sat dormant, as if frozen in time. And yet, they found something else entirely, a collection of old newspaper clippings tucked away in a drawer, detailing unsolved murders from decades past. Was this a message left behind? Some kind of dark homage to proceedings long gone? Or perhaps a signal to fellow conspirators? Whatever it was, only thickened the plot, drawing investigators deeper into a web of historic horrors. Days turned into weeks, without any break in the case. Each discovery led further down rabbit holes, littered with speculation instead of answers. Frustration brewed among detectives as leads vanished like ghosts into thin air. With every piece of evidence examined, every fingerprint scrutinized, the mystery only deepened. Despite all these bizarre details, one fact remained frustratingly evident. No concrete motive could be unearthed from this elaborate tableau of chaos and despair. And even stranger, some investigators began to suspect that this wasn't merely about violence. It was about control, manipulation. But perhaps what haunted them most wasn't just what happened within those walls. It was what happened outside them. The normalcy of life continuing, while tragedy unfolded behind closed doors. Neighbors recalled hearing nothing unusual, that sense of trust shattered by an explosive reality hidden in plain sight. At some point, whispers grew louder among the urban legends associated with this home, a belief shared by locals that darkness clung to its corners like cobwebs waiting to ensnare unsuspecting souls walking too close. Those stories became threads weaving fear into community folklore. As we reflect on what lies beneath those covered mirrors and pulled curtains, one question lingers in our minds. How well do we understand our own homes? Or the secrets they might hold? In search for answers amidst chaos, do we really see everything within our own lives? In unraveling mysteries spun from silence and shadows, sometimes it's not just the unknown that terrifies us. It's knowing how much remains undiscovered. Because some truths are best left concealed forever. What if I told you that some cases never find closure because the truth is buried so deep it becomes a part of folklore? The story you're about to hear revolves around a crime that captivated an entire nation. Police quickly identified suspects, yet their trails led nowhere. Several men were investigated. Some were even arrested. One suspect stood trial, his fate hanging in the balance, like a pendulum swinging with uncertainty. But here's where it gets twisted. Evidence never proved sufficient. Witnesses contradicted each other on the stand. Alibis shifted like shadows under scrutiny, leaving more questions than answers. This wasn't just another crime. It became a national sensation that spread like wildfire across the front pages of newspapers. Headlines screamed theories and speculations, captivating readers eager for resolution. But none of those theories ever solved the mystery. Years passed, then decades rolled by, and still no definitive answer emerged. The identity of the killer remained hidden behind layers of obscurity, an enigma wrapped in silence. Investigators claimed they followed every lead, but what if each lead was merely a diversion? What if the very people tasked with solving this case were misled by their own biases? You see, in this age of supposed clarity, we often overlook the murkiness of human nature. Some believed certain suspects had motives rich enough to drown in: jealousy, revenge, power struggles. But others saw them as scapegoats for a society hungry for answers. And that's not even the best part. Consider how rumors swirled throughout the country like smoke from a crackling fire. Each whisper added fuel to speculation and doubt. Fingers pointed from one man to another, each time narrowing down to someone new, before broadening again back into ambiguity. It's fascinating to think. Could these incessant rumors have muddied the waters so much that they obscured any potential truths hidden within? Now here's where it gets interesting. The public became entwined in this web of intrigue. They took sides, some championing a suspect believed innocent, while others called for justice against someone presumed guilty. Democracy. It altered right before our eyes into a chaotic circus act of emotional responses offering little logical merit. Somewhere in this mix emerged a portrait sketched by collective imagination rather than hard evidence. A monster born from fears rather than facts. By analyzing old police files, stacked nearly forgotten in musty archives, one can sense a strange energy surrounding this case, a palpable tension radiating from faded documents and yellowed newspaper clippings. You can almost hear echoes of desperate conversations as detectives sifted through leads that would ultimately lead nowhere, but deeper into bafflement and disappointment. Look at courtrooms filled with anticipation. Imagine jurors straining to understand motivations they couldn't grasp fully, even years later. Did we underestimate our fascination with darkness, or overestimate our ability to draw conclusions from biased testimonies clouded by human frailties? And yet, as time blurred these events into myth, their significance didn't vanish. It simmered beneath the surface, waiting for another generation seeking answers connected to an ever-elusive truth buried within half-forgotten memories. The killer remains unidentified still, a ghost haunting historical records while shaping public sentiment through controversial storytelling. Look closer at this phenomenon. Not all mysteries beg for resolution. Some thrive in anonymity and draw power from untold secrets grounded firmly in ambiguity. So why does this matter today? Because unresolved narratives compel us toward examination, far beyond mere details. They invite exploration into who we are when faced with uncertainty or fear, pushing us to confront uncomfortable truths seldom addressed openly. There lies an unsettling notion embedded deep within. Sometimes, perhaps we prefer the fog of mystery over stark reality, a paradox reflecting humanity itself. In closing, remember, when whispers echo through generations unyielding, have we truly lost sight of truth? Or has its absence become our solace instead? You can pay $428 to spend the night in the room where 6 children died. It is a small white house in Villisca, Iowa. Population today is just over 1,200 people. In 1912, it was a busy coal town. Then, a single night changed everything. 8 people went to sleep. None of them woke up. An axe was left in the guest room. A slab of bacon sat on the kitchen floor. The chimney was stuffed with bloody clothes. The killer locked the doors on his way out. He took the keys. He vanished into the cornfields. More than a century later, nobody knows his name. Think about that. A killer walked into a family home. He spent hours inside. He systematically destroyed 2 adults and 6 kids. He wiped his hands on a blue dress. He covered every mirror in the house with cloths. He even covered the glass in the front doors. Why did he cover the mirrors? Some say it was superstition. Others thought he could not look at his own reflection. The police had no answers. They let hundreds of curious neighbors walk through the crime scene. They took pieces of the bloody wallpaper as souvenirs. They trampled the footprints. They wiped away the fingerprints. By noon, the investigation was already dead. The town went mad with suspicion. Neighbors stopped talking to each other. People bought heavy locks for their doors. Everyone carried a gun. The local senator, Frank Jones, was accused of hiring a hitman. People claimed he hated Joe Moore, the father of the family. Joe had left Frank's farm implement business to start his own. He took clients with him. Was that worth 8 lives? A private detective thought so. He spent years trying to prove Frank Jones did it. He failed. Then there was Reverend Lynn George Jacqueline Kelly. He was a tiny, strange preacher. He was in town the night of the murders. He left on a train early the next morning. He told people on the train that 8 people had been slaughtered while they slept, but the bodies had not been found yet. How did he know? Kelly later signed a confession. He said God told him to do it. But the jury did not believe him. They acquitted him. So the house sat there. The years piled up. The town shrank. The coal industry died. But the house remained. Other families tried to live there. None of them stayed long. They heard footsteps in the attic. They saw dark shapes in the hallways. They heard children crying in the middle of the night. In 1994, a couple bought the property. They did not want to live there. They decided to restore it. They tore out the modern drywall. They cut the electricity. They removed the plumbing. They wanted it to look exactly like it did on June 9th, 1912. Now, it is a museum. People travel from all over the world to visit. They bring audio recorders. They carry cameras. They sit in the dark and wait for a sign. In 2014, a paranormal investigator stabbed himself in the chest while staying there. He survived, but he never explained why he did it. The house does something to people. It keeps the past alive in a way that feels physical. You can stand in the kitchen today. You can look at the spot where the bacon was found. You can walk up the narrow stairs. The wooden steps still creak. The air feels heavy. It is cold, even in the middle of July. You realize that the killer walked these exact boards. He stood in these exact corners. He held the axe right where you are standing. He got away with it. He probably lived a long life. He probably died of old age in a warm bed. The files are still open. The records are yellow and brittle. Every few years, a new detective looks at the old photos. They search for something the first officers missed. But the truth is gone. The witnesses are dead. The evidence is contaminated. The house is the only thing left. It is a reminder of a terrible secret. It does not offer peace. It does not offer closure. It just stands there, waiting for the next guest to turn off the flashlight. What would you do if you heard a floorboard creak upstairs? Would you run, or would you wait to see who is coming down? 8 people went to sleep in a small Iowa house. None of them woke up. It was June 10th, 1912. The town was Villisca. It had 2,000 residents. Everyone knew everyone. Or so they thought. By morning, 6 children and 2 adults were dead. The weapon was a 2-pound axe. It belonged to the homeowner. The killer used the blunt side, not the blade. Let's look at the timeline. It starts at a local Presbyterian church. The Moore family attended a Children's Day service. Josiah and Sarah Moore were there. Their 4 kids were with them. Herman was 11, Catherine was 9. Boyd was 7, Paul was 5. 2 neighborhood girls joined them for a sleepover. Lena Stillinger was 12. Her sister Ina was 8. They walked home together in the dark. It was a warm, rainy night. They locked the doors. They went to bed. They had no idea someone was already inside. The killer hid in the attic. Police found 2 cigarette butts in the dusty crawl space. He waited until everyone was fast asleep. Probably around midnight, he went downstairs. He walked into the master bedroom. Josiah and Sarah died first. Then the killer went to the children's room. He killed all 4 more kids. Finally, he went downstairs to the guest room. That is where Lena and Ina were sleeping. Lena had a defensive wound on her arm. She was the only one who tried to fight back. But the physical killings were only part of the horror. What the killer did next makes no sense. He covered every mirror in the house. He used bed sheets and clothing. He covered the glass panes on the doors too. He took a 2-pound slab of raw bacon from the icebox. He wrapped it in a towel. He left it on the floor next to the axe. He filled a bowl with bloody water. He washed his hands. Then he locked the doors from the inside and took the keys. He walked out into the rainy night. The bodies lay there for hours. A neighbor noticed the house was quiet the next morning. No one was doing chores. She called Josiah's brother, Ross. Ross arrived with a key. He opened the door and walked into a nightmare. He ran out screaming. Now, look at the suspects. The first was a powerful local politician named Frank Jones. Josiah Moore used to work for him. Then Josiah left to start a rival business. He took a major John Deere contract with him. The two men hated each other. Rumors spread fast. Did Jones hire someone to do this? That leads to suspect number 2, William Mansfield. He was a known hitman. He was suspected of killing his own family with an axe. A witness claimed they saw Mansfield board a train near Villisca hours after the murders. But Mansfield had an alibi. He was working in Illinois at the time. The payroll records cleared him. Or did someone fake them? Then there was Reverend George Kelly. He was a traveling preacher. He attended the same church service that night. He left town on an early morning train. He told passengers on the train that 8 people had been murdered in their sleep. The bodies had not even been found yet. How did he know? Kelly was obsessed with the Bible passage about slaying utterly. He spent time in a mental hospital. He actually confessed to the murders twice, but both times he recanted. A jury acquitted him. The town of Villisca tore itself apart. Neighbors accused neighbors. Friendships ended. The crime was never solved. Today, the house still stands. It sits on a quiet street in Iowa. People pay money to spend the night there. Some say they hear children crying. Others say they feel a cold draft in the attic. But the walls do not talk. The physical evidence is gone. The suspects are all dead. Think about these details. The covered mirrors. The slab of bacon. Why did the killer do those things? Was it ritual? Was it guilt? Or was it just a way to buy more time to escape? More than 100 years have passed. The town has changed. Generations have come and gone. Yet the question remains, who killed the Moore family? Was it someone they knew? A stranger passing through? Or someone who escaped suspicion entirely? The truth is gone. But the mystery stays. What do you think happened inside that house? Write your theory in the comments.